And it's booting up right now, so we should be live right now.
Okay.
All right. So this is Brad Thompson. I am Brad Thompson, not this is Brad Thompson. I'm Brad Thompson, founder of Red Key, coming at you live on this snowy day in Denver. And I am honored and privileged to have a longtime friend of mine that I've known and somebody that has helped me and my family, my kids, Shelly Humbach. How are you doing today, Shelly?
Fantastic.
Shelly is the founder of Humbach Educational Consulting and was an invaluable resource, like I said, for my family and especially for our kids, help them select the college of their choice and really get them prepared for that next step after high school and the journey that they took. So Shelly, tell me what's been going on. Tell me a little bit how you got started with your business and the joy that you find out of it, and just give us a little background about what you do and your specialty.
Okay. Well, I really started my business. It came from the combination of realizing that I really love high school age kids. I know that probably sounds strange to parents of high school children. But that and education in general, I'm a believer in it. I think everyone has a right to it. And I wanted to combine those two things and help students figure out the best path for them after high school, whether that was college or not, but primarily I do work with students that are off to a school after high school. And this also was fueled by the frustration that I felt and the fear actually when I was trying to get my first child off to school. And Rob and I were absolutely shocked, not only at the cost of that thing, but also the decisions and choices and all of the complexity around that process. So I took a complete professional pivot and went back to school and earned my college counseling certification from UCLA. And I launched my educational practice about 10 years ago.
Okay, fantastic, fantastic. And I know as a client of yours, we not only received a A+ service with 3 different kids. As we know as parents, every child is different, and they all have different interests. And I think that your services were invaluable with, we have a blended family with 3 parents, all very busy, all extremely pressed for time and requirements. And the process of the college selection is not one to be taken lightly. And it was far different than when I went to school. I grew up in Iowa, and my dad said, it's not a matter of if you're going to go to college, but which one, Iowa or Iowa State? That was that was my choice. And the world has certainly changed from that. And I think a lot of people's perspectives have changed for that. And so talk about the selection process and how you work with the students, narrow down the hundreds of choices that are there today for them.
Well, it's great when we have time. And it's really a process of a couple of things. It really starts with a pretty significant level of self-discovery and self-reflection. So it's great to work with students in freshman, sophomore year because it gives us that much more time to develop clarity and for them to understand more about themselves, what they might want to study, what they might want to do. But it's really important that I point out here, this process of self-discovery for them, it's never around find your passion. I'm really, really over that expression. And I feel like it's put a tremendous amount of pressure on these young kids. And it's just honestly a ridiculous statement. I want students at 14, 15, 16 years old to have more of a growth mindset and just what do I enjoy being involved in the classroom, outside of the classroom, not finding a passion. So that's something I want to really be clear about. The way that we get through this, that we enjoy this journey of self-discovery is through assessments. So, and just getting to know each other. We spend a good deal of time together. Mm-hmm. And one of my favorite assessments that I use is U-Science. And this is an aptitude assessment. And it's brain games students do on the computer for an hour, and then it kicks back data on where their innate abilities and skills lie. So this is a springboard for, okay, well, gosh, I hadn't thought about that career, which is attached to this thing I'm really good at. So maybe that's something I want to look more into. In terms of narrowing down choices, there are, over 4,000 degree granting institutions in this country. So that's a tall order. But honestly, Brad, that's so much, and I'm sure you remember this, about, part of the country, climate, urban, size of school. So thankfully we have the internet, especially now, and we do a lot of research and evaluation of the colleges. So it's the combination of those two things that get us to that great end result.
I think those are really good points. And I think it's also important to point out there's a couple things that were takeaways for me and my wife and my former wife, is the fact that this journey that you take these students through is not a weekend or a week. I believe that it's more like a year, and you meet with them on a regular basis. And the thing that we found really valuable with your services, Shelly, is the fact that kids don't listen to their parents. This is a known fact, right? It's like, hey, don't do this, blah, 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 blah. That's all they hear from us. But when you ask them to take responsibility for the next steps in their action and their journey, they would get the work done. And they would be on time and they'd be prepared. And, it was a very methodical process that you took them through. And you, and once again, I mentioned this on another one of my real talks a few weeks ago, but you served as that third party tool or resource to help them get through that process, that complex process you mentioned that you and your husband worked through with your children. Yeah. And giving that service, it was worth every single penny to have a successful result at the end. And speaking of success, how do you measure success with your clients, both your parents and students?
Well, that's often, that's a big question, but I would say if I had to sum it up, my kids that are in school are thriving and they're happy. And my philosophy, and I believe this very deeply, is that when students are thriving and happy, the success naturally comes it just comes. So it's not the other way around. I have to get successful and then I'll be happy. It doesn't work that way. So that would be the first thing. Also, I've never had a transfer, if you can believe this. In 10 years of working with hundreds and hundreds of families, I've not had a transfer. And that really speaks to, again, that self-discovery and the research that we do on the front end. They're graduating in 4 years or less. This is a message that I introduce immediately and frequently. This is a very expensive product, and there's just absolutely no reason why it should take more than 4 years. So I empower students to be able to self-advocate. It's really important. It's a big deal. They've got to show up, ready to go, know what they want, and talk to people and get it done. For parents, I think that measure of success comes oftentimes, they want their kids to be happy and thriving and successful also.
Absolutely.
But a really, really big thing for parents, understandably, is they have to become a savvy consumer on this product. Parents are either paying for or largely paying for or somehow involved in the paying for this product, which is the college degree. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of information out there and it changes very frequently. So my job is to provide them with resources, the most current, appropriate and factual resources to help them learn how to become savvy with consuming this. And when that financial piece gets figured out, and you know this so well, then there's a sense of relief and accomplishment.
Right.
So I think that would be how.
Yeah, and speaking of that, you helped us tremendously with various sources of money, scholarships, endowments, and finding the right fit. There's all these pieces that go into the puzzle, to make sure that you have success that you've just talked about, and then your track record speaks for itself. And once again, our kids, all three of them, fall into that bucket, right? That are one's out. one's graduating in June and the other is a junior with a very successful path so far and looking for graduation next year. So once again, it's just an amazing, all these pieces of the puzzle, and the financial pieces is a big one of, how can I afford a school that is $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, which is out of the realm, but you helped us find the money to make that happen. So thank you for that. On your website, you talk about a 5-step methodology, and that leads to the success. And I think you might have mentioned one of those topics of advocating. Talk about that 5-step process with us a little bit, and what that's all about.
Sure. The process that I have put together, which is again just based on a lot of experience and professional development over the years, it's kind of, I look at it like pieces of a puzzle. And when you're missing a piece, then things are off kilter. So I like families to grasp this from the beginning. The first piece of the puzzle really is that the high school piece. And that, everything that students are doing in high school can affect the outcome and what's happening next. And also that all 4 years of high school really do matter. That's another thing. I can't tell you how many times I've had a freshman say to me, or a sophomore say to me, oh gosh, I wish I would have known that my freshman year grades mattered. Yeah, they matter a lot. And the second part of that really is the college list. And this is where we really spend a great deal of our time. And the assessments come into this. But at the end of the day, we need a college list that's balanced, that's deep, that's a dynamic list. And that way we know in spring of their senior year, they have fantastic choices. And they get to choose who's fortunate enough to have them on their campus. And that's, again, just that growth mindset that I really want them to have and develop. The third thing is the application process itself. My work is around supporting these students to create an authentic and compelling application that reflects who they are as a human being. The other part of the application process, of course, are the timelines and the deadlines, which are a very big deal, as you know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. The fourth piece is that cost of attendance and really understanding all of the components of this and how is it that we can get you to a point as a family where you're going to pay the absolute least amount possible for this thing that you want. Okay. Mm-hmm. The last one, best choice. And this really has to do with that return on investment. And we talk about that throughout this process, and we look at that. And make sure that everybody has a clear understanding of what's required to achieve this thing, what it's going to cost, and then be able to be excited about the outcome after that. The best thing I want to say about this college success strategy, it works regardless of the learning challenges a student may have or their learning style. And it also works for students that are, interested in a large flagship state school or an Ivy League school, and absolutely everything in between. It's that same methodology that's very effective for everyone.
Yeah, and it's unique. The process is the same, but the students' choices can vary, as you just mentioned, and finding that the right fit and having that success with no transfers is amazing. So obviously your methodology works very, very well. And that's one of the things that, it worked so well with our first child that it's like, here's number 2 and here's number 3. Let's get them in the queue. Just fantastic. Speaking of child number 2, my child number 2, she's scheduled to graduate this June on time in 4 years. With glowing reviews, and it's been an awesome journey for her in so many ways, from her education to her swimming success and lots of things, and the friends that she's met. So her choice was great, but her graduation ceremony has been postponed from happening in June to this fall in October. And she may or may not walk. And that's the result of COVID-19, obviously. Talk about what's happening with campus tours, with school. What insights do you have based on the pandemic that's happening right now, Shelly?
Well, I've been humbled and excited to see the collaboration and support amongst colleagues and peers. So I'm speaking of folks on the college admission side as well as on my side of the desk. And we have all kinds of things in the works where we're connecting prospective students with students that are already in college at a particular university. And in fact, your daughter has been, well, all three of your kids, now that I think about it, but probably your daughter the most, have been there for me when I've reached out to say, look, I have a kid that's really interested in this university. Would you please connect? Of course they did, and it was amazing. So there's a lot more of that happening, and that's so great. Because what happens too is often a mentor-mentee kind of relationship develops, and what can be better, right? This is the best, what makes the world go around.
Yep.
So the other thing though, and I really am encouraging my families, especially my seniors, but also my juniors, stay connected to the schools that you're interested in. You have to understand, these colleges are in a very tricky position right now, okay, as you might imagine.
Absolutely.
And they are going above and beyond to provide virtual everything, virtual conversation with an admissions representative, virtual tours, virtual, connections with students. Let's have lunch together in the student union. I mean, it really is amazing what they're doing. So that would be how, I'm telling my kids right now, look, the end result's going to be the same. You're going to go get to do this amazing thing and you're going to crush it. Just the path that we're taking to get there is a little different right now, but we're going to get there.
Awesome. Awesome. Let's shift gears really quickly for a minute. And when I shared with you, when we reconnected recently, what I've been up to with the creation of the proprietary application of Red Key, that sits on a USB jump drive for all of your life and legacy data. You got super excited, and you're excited for me with what I'm doing now. But tell me why you're excited and the timing of this fits into your life so well.
It's just an answer to prayer, really. So Rob and I just recently updated all of our estate documents, and which was an interesting but great experience. We're thankful we did it. We're thankful we could do it. But you walk out of there with a phone book, right? And then you think, well, first of all, where am I going to put that thing? And second of all, who's even going to remember where it is? So this thing that you have created is just fantastic. For us also, our children are all adults. They are all huge travelers, or they used to be. And, these girls have been all over the world. So for me to have that peace of mind that they can access absolutely everything, and vice versa, right? When you have adult children and they're in Greece doing God knows what, no kidding, then you want to have access to their health records or being able to speak to someone, of course, since I speak Greek, just kidding. Having a smooth transition and a secure way to access these really crucial documents, fabulous. And the last thing I would say about this, it's 2020. Everything's digital. This is the world. So
right.
Kudos to you, man.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. And thanks for your endorsement very much.
Sure.
Do you have a couple tips for our viewers out there, our listeners out there, as far as what they can be doing right now or in the foreseeable future regarding their college process and their journey and their things that you haven't already touched on? Do you have any other tips?
I just like to share with people, especially, I work with high school students. And I have learned a lot about this Generation Z. I have two millennials and a Gen Z, fascinating lot. And I continue to learn about them. And I just have the highest regard for who they are and where they are in life. So my mantra for them always is just do your best. Just do your best in that thing, whatever that thing is. Families ask me all the time, what should they be doing? Well, what they should be doing is what they enjoy doing. Then go do it. I just am really clear about that. Do your best. Number 2, shut out the chatter and be discerning about what you watch, read, and listen to. And also, please read a lot. you know, we live in this world where we are literally bombarded with information. And right now, it's all pretty negative. So I think it's important, and when this message is probably more for parents. You know, you're sitting at the soccer game, or you used to sit at a soccer game, and you hear the parent talking to the other parent about how their kid got a perfect SAT score. Let it go. Doesn't matter. Doesn't apply to you. It's not a thing. Don't care. So shut out the chatter. And I think really the last thing is just to enjoy the ride. Just enjoy the ride and trust the process. It's going to be okay. It is. It's all going to work out. I promise. I don't know how, but I promise it will.
Well, I think we share a lot of the same thoughts and beliefs in the fact that thoughts are things.
Yes.
So if you fill your thoughts with positive things, you're going to have positive outcomes, right? And converse to that, if you absorb a bunch of negative stuff, you're going to be negative, and nobody's going to want to talk to you. And enjoy the ride. You know, nobody planned for the world to be where it is right now. You know, what can you do about it? And being positive and having a good outlook. And you know, the journey, like you said, might take a little turn to the left, a little turn to the right. But this is the journey. And going back to that perfect SAT score, no two children are the same. And just focus on your world, not about Jimmy's world or Mary's world, or, you know, just here's your world. Let's focus on that. So I think those are really good messages, not only for students, but for the parents as well. And for anybody that's watching this that may have children that have already graduated from college. Just, you know, it's like, what's going on here? Check this out. So appreciate that. Thanks for the comments out there in the viewer community as well. So the last question I have for you, Shelly, is how does somebody get a hold of you that wants to further discuss, you know, their child's journey, or possibly working with you and gain some more insights from you? What's the best way to contact you?
The best way would definitely be through my website, and folks can contact me. They can fill out a quick contact form, and I get that, and I can respond that way.
What is your website?
My website, great question. It's Humbach Education Consulting.com, and that's HUMBACH Education Consulting, which is probably the worst email address ever, but whatever, it is. But that's how they should contact me. And the other thing about my site, it really does a nice job of explaining my process, and folks that would look at that would have a much clearer understanding about me and how I work. And there's also some great videos on there, and hopefully lots of helpful information. There's a couple of free downloads, resources, timelines, things like that, just to support parents and students through this.
Absolutely. Your website is fantastic, a wealth of information, and you're a wealth of information as well. And every opportunity I get, I try to refer people to you because of the great job that you did for me and our children. So thank you so much. And thanks for your time today, Shelly. I'll let you go. I know you got a lot on your plate. Make the best out of this snowy day. And it's such a pleasure to see you and spend time with you this morning. Thanks so much.
Well, thank you so much. Say hi to all the kids for me.
I sure will. Thanks, Shelly.
Okay. Bye.